feedback.
Thank you, candidates. This next question is also for all of you. What are some specific initiatives that you have for improving communication between student government and communities such as the housing and Greek communities?
Does this go in order, or do we just...
Yeah. Oh, yes. We're going to start back with Amy each time
Okay.
and keep going down.
I mean, first of all, to get an example of kind of what advertisement we would be using, all you have to do is kind of just look around campus. We've done a very good job of kind of advertising our campaign with all the posters and chalking and kind of Facebook campaigning, as well as our Form Spring account, where we kind of get questions from people and then answer them.
However, in order to increase communication with housing, obviously we'll need to take initiative to set up meetings. That's the bottom line: meetings, emails, actually talking to them. As far as the Greek community, we hope that we can keep in touch with the Greek community just by being personable students, by making sure that people know that we are the president and vice president, and of course, meetings, emails. I don't see any why there would be any creativity needed there, as long as the job is done right.
So we have a couple things in place for this. One, something that has been implemented but perhaps not utilized properly in the past is just on the cabinet. We're going to have a Greek liaison. I think that's important, but kind of going a step further in terms of Greek things, this also goes to housing, is what I was talking about with our sort of competition for event attendance. We're looking to work with Collegiate Link. Hopefully we can talk about that later. Essentially, it's going to have a built-in central events calendar and then kind of have a competition between groups, like I said, loosely defined, to see who can go to the most events. And that wouldn't just be closed to student orgs, but it's Greek houses, it's freshman residence halls and whatnot. And we don't really want to be exclusive in these things. The way we want to use our Greek liaison on the cabinet is not necessarily to just say, you know, here, make an initiative that works for the Greeks, but we want our cabinet to be very much discussion-based. I think we both value that. And a meeting shouldn't just be there for updates. And I've sat through too many meetings in my life where you go around a circle and say what you did, and that's worthless. But we want to say, you know, we're going to plan this event. How do we get Greeks here? We have a grad student liaison, an international student liaison, so that sort of thing. For housing areas, we want to be very present during orientation. We're going to do a voter registration drive, sort of like a Pittsburgh Connections table, but for voter registration at orientation, where people are going to be say, look, here is student government out here making a difference, doing something for us, and with your registration information, it's not going to be recruiting people, but I think important services should be advertised and say, you know, if you have a problem, these are the people who to talk to. And then kind of going on from that, all our other initiatives, like I'm talking about PR, that sort of stuff, it's non-exclusive. But I think the other thing is reaching out. We've talked with Mike Carroll, the president of IFC, about you know, some possible initiatives, way we could collaborate, how our goals come together. We do the same thing for Panhell, where we elected. We just hadn't had time yet. But I think utilizing board of directors kind of as well is a big thing, making sure that those initiatives are to, yeah.
Thank you, Mila. Brian and Amanda?
Sure. So in terms of making these visible connections with various groups such as Student Life and the Greek community, we have a number of ideas. First and foremost, we'd like to establish visibility in terms of student government, so students know what we're doing and know that they can access us and ask us questions face to face. We've already started doing this with the branding of our campaign, and you can see if you visit cmuvoice.com, and in case we don't get to go over all of our initiatives, and our YouTube channel, youtube.com/cmuvoice. We've established a consistent brand and identity in our campaign, and we intend to do this if we are elected. So the brand and identity also goes beyond logos and t-shirts. It has to do with the messaging of student government, and that the tone and messaging is consistent. And that's something that we intend to work on. Internally, we want to revamp the board of directors. This year, they've only met 3 times, and Amanda and I have reached out to all of the members of the board of directors, and some of them, frankly, don't even know that they're on the board of directors. And so what we plan on doing is using it as an opportunity for collaboration. There are, in the Constitution, IFC, Panhell, SDC and AB sit on the board of directors, and we'd like to appoint new members so that organizations on campus are fairly represented. And we'd like to open up these meetings to the student body. So if students are continuously attending these meetings, they will also be appointed as members of the board of directors.
Thank you. Seth and Joe?
Sorry. In addition to what Brian said, we will make sure that all the representatives of Greek life, like from IFC, from Panhill, and from the Multicultural Greek Council, will be represented, and they will know they're on the board of directors, and we will make sure they attend their meetings and that their voices are heard. We will also address housing problems through, I guess, going to Senate meetings, to SDC meetings. We will be attending these because with housing, there's a lot of individual problems between different dorms, and they have their own in-house meetings, so we'll attend SDC meetings.
Thank you. Seth and Joe?
I'm going to let Joe talk a lot about the student life side, but one thing that I want to note is that this question never includes off-campus housing. And I think as part of one of our initiatives is wider campus reach, it kind of irritates me that this question never includes the people who live off campus because they're often let out of a lot of events. So I think in addition to bringing back the Greek liaison, we're going to bring on an off-campus liaison to our cabinet who is really responsible for making sure that events are getting out to the people who live off campus.
Yeah, and I think that being said, one of the things that we really need to focus on is making sure that people are aware of events. We don't want to have just another email that's going out with another 20 different set of different events that are going on campus that people have to filter to figure out what they're interested in. One of the initiatives we have is developing a text messaging program where you can sign up for Tartan Sports or Tartan events where you can basically get some sort of text alert where you're going to know the things that you're passionate about on campus, what's going on for all representation for all the different clubs on campus, that we really are meeting the needs of the individual. And by doing that, we're going to get a lot better representation and seeing what people want, regardless if it's something that's been here for a while like the Tartan or if it's something like the Origami Club that's kind of up and going. So really making sure that everybody has a voice and that we're advocating for everybody so that people are really getting the most from what they want.
Thank you, Seth and Joe. Matt?
I was a Greek liaison for Jared Adams in his administration. I did a pretty bad job. It's really hard to do it. Honestly, when you're a full-time student, becoming a liaison for something like that, when you have your other classes and things to work on, it's really difficult. We can say that we're going to do these things, but it is very challenging to actually accomplish them appropriately. Your idea was pretty good. I really like the idea of text messages and stuff like that, and everyone else too. I think everyone's very sincere about it. Personally, honestly, I think relating with housing and Greek life, they function pretty well on their own. I would love to get them integrated into the community, but I'm just not quite sure how to do that yet. There's no easy answer.
Thank you, candidates. This question is also for all of the candidates, and we'll start again with Amy and Brian. Transparency continues to be an important issue on campus. How do you plan to promote transparency in the executive branch and keep student government accountable to the student body?
So I think that it's really important that the student body knows that student government exists, knows how it functions, and knows what it's doing. And if you do that, you can put pressure on your representatives to do what you think is right. I think that one thing that we understand better than maybe some of our other candidates is the way people use the internet right now, which is that people use maybe 3 or 4 services and they check those for things that have been added to some queue. They use their email, they check their Facebook, they look at Twitter, they look at Tumblr. We really don't expect students to be proactive in checking some external site, and we really think it really excludes a lot of students to expect them to be proactive in doing that. And so we would use a great combination of things and not use every channel for everything, but use a combination of media in order to bombard students with messages. And obviously this is all subscription, but we think that that's really important to get the word out. And once again, if you look at our campaign, you'll see we've used a combination of a number of things. We've used posters and chalking and FormSpring, but we have really tried to keep it close to what students actually use.
Thank you, guys. Will and Mila?
I'm just going to speak briefly so that Will can get to his list of things he was just scribbling down. But basically, every candidate up here is going to say relatively the same thing, because what ends up happening with PR, visibility, and transparency is that we all make the same promises, but there's just a lack of follow-through. That being said, one of the things that we're going to try our hardest to do is follow through. We have a very large focus on social media in our campaign, utilization of the all-calendar system as well as Facebook, just to kind of emphasize how much we want to get our message across. However, I think it's important to note that you really can't say anything that's going to be unique in this certain situation without saying something that's already been said.
That being said, I think we both have a lot of experience with PR, and we have outlined several things. So first one, continuing to use our website and Facebook throughout the year. With Senate, I just about doubled the number of Facebook likes we have on our page. It's not good enough yet, but we're getting there. We got a new logo. We're out there tabling every Friday. We're going to be out there tabling every week as well for this. We're going to switch off between Doherty and somewhere in the UC, something like that. That'll be fun. Other thing, I'm getting a call from my mom. Okay, another thing we're gonna bring back. We're gonna bring back the Mad Minutes. It's something that we mentioned. It's gonna be a quick minute video screened before AB Films every 2 weeks. It's gonna be funny. It's gonna be simple, but it's gonna give updates on our initiatives. Additionally, we're going to use our website all year, and part of the thing is we're both goofy, we're both quirky people. People aren't just going to look at a student government website, but you need to put interesting content. We're the type of people who can do that. I mean, a good example, for our first town hall, we contacted Chipotle. Chipotle was a big thing online. We're cool at Chipotle for our town hall. First 50 people who come get a free burrito. The next 100 or so get half-price burritos. Because you want burritos, we want your feedback. You'll get there. It's a gimmick, but it's going to get people there. And that's the sort of stuff we're all about.
Thank you, Will and Mila. Brian and Amanda?
So we've been approaching this issue from a number of different ways. First and foremost, we want to open up the channels and mediums of communication for the student body, communicating with the student government. If you've seen in our campaign, we have multiple ways to communicate with us, and we have a couple of ideas for next year. So we want to be visible. We want to be in front of Doherty and busy intersections on campus on a weekly basis for the entire year. And I agree that follow-through is definitely one of the bigger problems, but I think following through and being consistent about it is an even bigger problem, because student government has made some great strides this year, I think. But I think being consistent about it is really, really important. So knowing that when an event is run, that it's a student government event, in terms of the branding and having a consistent identity, is what we intend to do.
Also, with being consistent, we just want to be very approachable, and we want to be recognizable to the rest of the campus. Visibility is always something that student government struggles with, and it is really tough. But we want students to know who exactly they can talk to about their problems. And another thing that we already touched upon was that we have a YouTube channel, and this will serve as an outlet for us to directly answer students' questions, and we'll have suggestion boxes so that you can give us your feedback. And we'll also have board of directors meetings open to the rest of the student body, and that's how we'll handle visibility.
Thank you, guys. Seth and Joe?
So there's a couple of things. I always hate the buzzword transparency because it gets thrown out every year, and I think we don't have a transparency problem. I think we have an advertising problem. It doesn't matter if you have a Twitter or a buzzword or Facebook or buzzword or Formspring. It doesn't matter. If you don't have the followers on your Twitter and you don't have the likes on your Facebook page, you can be putting information out there and nobody's reading it. So while all of these social media and all of the great things we have as far as technology is concerned today are great, like, it requires action on part of the user. I have to go physically like your page. And where we're lacking in student government is the incentive for me to like your page. And we'll touch on it a little bit with free Chipotle, but the bottom line is that if we're offering people an incentive to like our page, such as free food, such as cake, such as, and I know that's something that Senate has done, is giving away free food, giving away free things, is how we get people involved. Because once we have people on our Twitter, once we have people on our Facebook, we can get information to them and we can advertise what we're doing instead of just being transparent. But without actually having that initial step, those initial conversations that get people to come to our Twitter, to come to our Facebook, it means nothing. So I think transparency is actually a misnomer. What we need as far as student government is concerned is advertising.
I think we also need to do a better job of keeping open connections with GSA. They're a pretty big population on campus, even though they're not necessarily as recognizable for the undergraduates. But making sure that maybe not necessarily every student on campus and every grad